some other state.
I'm sure that out to the other.
But I think, I don't know who's serving in that capacity or if she's like.
It does say live or something. Find out, right? She was thinking of the red.
It sounded. kind of
Yes,
like it was
we are.
And then, if they were somewhere else, she said she could be somewhere here another time, like in Oklahoma or something, like, she's the National Guard.
It is weird that nobody's tuning in.
And
but I don't know.
I don't know who she.
We'll just go with it. We do have a swamp, right?
Yes, I do the same thing, but it's maybe.
It's not, I know, but I.
All right.
Yes, I think that could start already.
So in the interest of time, we're going to call this meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. There's no visitors, so you've got roll, and I guess I need to officially call this meeting to order. So do I have a motion to so?
Oh, sure.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And we need to vote on the meetings from, or the minutes from last meeting, which Jason out earlier today. Did everybody have a motion to accept the meeting minutes from September? Favor? And treasurer's report. Any updates?
I emailed it to everybody earlier today. We paid one check for $200 to the Keep Athens-Clarke County Beautiful for the blue daffodils. I don't know if Stacy got it, but I haven't heard it.
She did. She sent a thank you, a very nice thank
Okay.
you to us, by the way. Thank you to everybody who agreed to.
Yeah, we voted on that in the last meeting. And the only other thing was getting interest of 16 cents of the money. So that is it.
Can you, yes,
Yeah, if you want to just attach it from the email. You can do that.
I was just gonna ask about, like.
Yeah, it's listed on the,
Yeah, I'll just.
What's the ballpark?
the money market is somewhere in the order of 10,000. The checking account is somewhere in the order of 1,500. And the PayPal is. To just move it all over.
Do we still have, is the 10,000 that you mentioned, is that the Trees for Tomorrow fund, or is that separate?
It's all mixed together.
Okay,
I keep separate books on which part of it belongs to Trees for Tomorrow. Because I have to do that for the annual report.
right.
So the last annual report will say how it's broken up. But prior to my starting as treasurer, they mixed up everything together because they thought they could make more interest. I think they should have just left it separate.
It's cleaner if it's separate, but.
Well, it's easier for the treasurer to keep track of because I have to keep weighing, which things belong to which.
Yeah,
But there is
interest payments, I guess, portion.
still specific money set aside for Trees for.
There is, but the amount of money that we have for Trees Tomorrow is not enough to cover the obligation of the number of trees we're supposed to plant.
Is
Because
that something-
because the price of trees has gone up so much.
When they shrink the trees down in here or anything, it says what size.
They're in the original agreement, it says you're gonna do X number of trees. And we've done some of them, but we haven't done all of them. But I think the Trees for Tomorrow is somewhere in the order of, we have maybe 9,000 left, and that's not gonna cover the number of trees that we need.
We'd like to do bigger trees.
How many more trees do we need to plant to you?
I feel like there's at least 30 of them, but I haven't kept track of that. Rodney was keeping track.
Well,
Are you just wanting like a current number of what has been planted between specific?
What has been
dates?
planted and what is our obligation?
well, we can also talk about this a little bit further down. I mean, I guess that just leads into the Trees for Tomorrow work group and then further down the agenda. Let's vote on accepting the treasury report first and then let's follow up on that. I have a motion to accept the treasury report or treasurer's report. Thank you, Patrick. Thanks, Holly. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That work group doesn't meet regularly.
No, and we haven't planted any trees out of that fund for at least a couple of years.
Yeah, Is it something that needs to be revisited so that we can meet our obligation, or what is there like a deadline on it?
That I don't know, I'll just look it up, that's what I've got in the notes.
Carl is still alive,
Yeah.
so we can't keep track of it.
So we.
Well, I think we've been waiting for the Firefly Trail.
Yeah,
Right.
we had planted some on the Firefly Trail, and then it kept getting moved farther and farther down the trail, and we did plant some a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And just, there has been no movement on it since.
I think they would put a kibosh on a lot of it.
Planting
Yeah.
site for MLK Day, which is something that we have previously discussed. And so if we could perhaps put the two things together.
If
since
we could
have
at least
that
do a
funding.
few, so we can say we've moved.
Right.
We were gonna
trees.
do this big intersection near the racetrack and
Right, we did some trees there
Yeah, we did.
before,
we did them back
but
there.
there's construction, every time I go by there, there's like construction stuff
So
everywhere.
that's why we waited,
Yeah.
because we wanted to do that site. I went over there with Joe and Rodney. But we knew that like near the liquor store
Mhm.
Yeah.
and all that was gonna that we need more shade there, but we just weren't sure what this change to the loop was gonna entail. And I would love for that section to see what the county plants or DOT or whatever, and then see,
Yeah.
but that,
Well, I mean,
we should be able to go further
I
down.
was gonna say, they've completed
Yeah.
a larger portion of it now, so we should be able to plant further
And
down.
come back.
I said,
to
the
this.
only thing I've seen come through plans review is up on Oconee Street. There's been nothing on the backside. And actually, Todd Miller with Leisure Services, he had somewhat of a plan drawn out, but like you were saying, we're kind of waiting for all that construction to cease on. Because it's like every time we turn around, there's another bale of wiring or tubing being
Yeah.
left up there for some reason.
People park there. So if there's another spot along the trail that's not right in there,
Yeah.
would Todd be a good person for us to ask?
Todd, yeah, he's done a couple plans. Now the next section of Firefly connecting towards Winterville, I think they've just acquired the land, not acquired it, nothing's been signed, but I think they have to have a trail going. So there's another opportunity to go that direction.
Is that something that we could pull off for MLK Day?
I highly doubt it, to be honest. with you.
Really? Okay, so I mean, that's enough information there.
Right, I think it's just been held back because nothing's ready to be planted yet. That's the only reason it's been held back.
Well,
Like-
you haven't really recorded, you can't plant anything.
What about the whole stretch of the right of way along, what's that?
Winterville Road.
Winterville Road right there, from like basically where the loop construction stops.
That would be a
all the
good,
way.
because I know that, where we've put up, I should say, Leisure Services put up the, bollards, yellow marker bollards. I mean, that would be a good
Yeah, yeah.
opportunity to kind of soften those up, but yet hold people back so no one would be going through those.
It's really like, I'll ride my bike down through there and there's really like, I mean, granted, there's not a whole lot of right of way, but it's really sunny down that stretch of road down there.
That's
It's like,
exactly what I was thinking, because my office is
Yeah,
right
right
there.
your office straight right there, it's really sunny there.
It's, yeah. And we watch people almost get hit constantly.
So,
I roll in,
I
ultimately get hit.
Oh, wow.
We like watched it happen.
A cyclist?
A cyclist, well, he actually ran into, the two times I've seen an accident, both times it was a motorcycle and a cyclist, and both times he ran into the truck. Truck didn't run into them, they ran into the truck.
Trying to get into your driveway or something, they just didn't stop, yeah.
Now where the benches are, down farther down to, you know, what I'm talking about,
Mhm.
maybe, okay. Those areas lost his pain the first couple of trees we're gonna install from this winter.
Okay.
They wanted possibly this past spring, but we'll get them this winter. It's got to be too late.
So it potentially might not be too late to plant along that stretch.
Oh, yeah, no, that's still open.
Okay,
And so could landscape dig the holes?
This is very similar to what we've done in the other areas.
Right, we would have to decide what kind of trees we wanted and where to get them.
I think I'm still on trees for tomorrow. I'm happy to, if anybody
If you want to look into that, I mean,
wants to walk down.
where have we gotten them from, the Moon Place?
Who else is on there? Joe and Sean and you
I
and
probably,
Phil?
yeah,
Because I think Phil went out to Angel Creek to get them. if I'm not mistaken.
Angel Creek was, I get confused
I thought it was
when,
the.
I know we've used.
Moon's
I don't-
Creek, was he going out to Moon's also?
I don't remember, because I remember writing a check to Moon Pass, but
Shelley got them, right?
I know we got
Once last time.
from Moons for the Timothy Road Elementary.
Yeah, it was a while ago, but we could have gotten some from somewhere else last.
What size are you?
3-inch usually.
Yeah,
Did they give us any kind of special deal, or is that just the best
I
place to go?
think they gave us a decent price, and they had nice healthy looking trees.
I mean, we get their wholesale pricing.
Yeah, so far.
So 3-inch, do we have equipment to help us maneuver them?
Go ahead.
We could probably, especially if we plant along Winterville Road,
You could probably drive up
we
here.
could probably, use one of our mini skids to maneuver the trees. If landscape doesn't mind
You can drop
digging the
them.
holes.
Yeah, we'll do the holes and unload in those areas.
Yeah,
We've done in the
the
past.
key is we want to open it up to a planting site for the public to come help. So
Mhm.
finding things for people to help with would also be a challenge because that doesn't really require that much work, really.
Get it pop mulched.
Yeah, I mean, they put it in, they put the dirt back in and then they mulch it,
Yeah.
but that's pretty much it.
What are the holes stuff?
Sometimes we use a large auger, depending on how many trees we're putting, sometimes we'll have an auger to break most of it, or sometimes we'll use the backhoe.
So, I mean, it could be shaping the hole, just to make sure that the hole is ideal, that could definitely be something people could do. Like after it's augered,
Mhm.
backhoe it, shape it, and then place the tree.
Remember, the equipment is usually not there on an okay day, it's just the hole. And then,
Correct.
so there is the refill and.
We have had to rent a mini skid before, at one of the sites, I think maybe West Broad.
Mhm. And then there's some light framing. Set the general color. Awesome, so, I can't remember who's head of trees for tomorrow, I think it's.
I think it's
So,
all-
it is.
All right, so,
I
I'll
kind of
have,
feel weird about suggesting this without him being here, but we kind of.
I think we need to jump on it though.
We have to decide now what we want to do.
The holidays are coming up,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we have to get on the calendar if we're gonna do it.
today's actually the day that we said we wanted to try to,
Solidify what we're doing.
we met for promotions.
Yeah.
And then there's Arbor Day.
So I have an idea for Arbor Day as well, and before we get to that, we actually really need to vote on this. So I'm gonna make a motion that we select a portion of the Firefly along Winterville Road to be specifically determined at a later date so that we, maybe we can schedule a meeting to walk out there with the Trees for Tomorrow group. Using Trees for Tomorrow funds to plant. And we need, before I officially make the motion, we probably need to decide how many trees we want to do, whether it's feasible, along with Firefly Trail for MLK Day. So what would be a reasonable amount of trees? I think in the past we've done like 4 to 5, is that right?
On the MLK Day?
It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can limit the number of volunteers that we accept to come in to help us too. And so, we can cap it at like 20 people in addition, and then have, the council there to like kind of oversee it. So maybe 5 native trees.
We haven't always done native. I'm a fan, but
Native
I
or
know
near-native.
there were times where we were like,
Just a site appropriate.
soil, it's so bad. I think for that other site, I think we were gonna throw in a couple of crepe myrtles just because the size was right and the soil was terrible.
Whatever we planted, further down for Arbor Day a couple years ago, they're doing well. Like, they look great.
I think we just need to see, I say we, I'm not.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we need to see the site.
Well, that's
Yeah,
what
the
I'm
site's
saying.
really gonna dictate what you can.
Right, when you walk down and check it out, go ahead and dig soil some,
Yeah.
check
it out, see.
Well, maybe we
And then
need
select
to
your
do
trees
a little
for it.
field trip with the Trees for Tomorrow.
Sure.
So
I'll
let's
put
not
together an
select
email
the
or
species
talk about it.
now. We'll just
Correct.
say we're gonna plant 5 native or near native trees. along the Firefly Trail for MLK Day.
Wait, does the number have to be set today? Leave that open, just base it off the site?
Say up to 5. At least a little bit big.
Sure.
Yeah,
I think that works.
Up
Yeah.
to 5.
Okay. Okay.
I think because that, I don't want
You don't want it
to,
to be more than.
I don't want it to be overwhelming amount of
Right, because
trees.
then if none of the volunteers show up,
Right, but, I want it to be feasible, but not overwhelming. I think that's a decent number.
Yeah.
So that day,
We did an MLK tree planting. We got the making the shade trees for Winterville Elementary, and we planted 48 trees, I think. And we had 30 something volunteers, and then Winterville Tree Commission. And it was basically Winterville Tree Commission stragglers who stayed behind and finished up.
what size
planting
trees?
We did that at Timothy.
Really?
Oh, it was very ambitious.
Oh, yeah.
I
No,
think
we-
I can't remember it was 30 or 40,
Wow.
but we planted a lot of large
Wow.
trees. It was a multi-day project.
Oh.
Well, multi-day in that
The
the holes were
whole
dug
dog.
the day
Okay.
before, and the trees were placed near the holes. But someone still had to like
Yeah.
rest them. And so,
It's a lot.
yeah, and I think it ended up just being work.
Yeah,
Feels like work, and the ground was frozen
yes.
because we had a severe frost the night before.
With the
and
Timothy Road, it was
It
a
was
lot.
rigid.
And they were all spread out like all over the campus, so.
well, that's what actually makes me think we could do more than 5, because it's such a, but we may not be able to fit more than 5.
We can.
well, let's just go with up to 5 until we go to visit the site. We can always amend
Yeah.
that later.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, we can amend it.
we
Okay.
can, but also keep in mind,
10.
people love to show up for MLK Day. People don't love to do a ton of work.
It's not really work day.
Well, I think, when we were at Rock Spring or Broad Acres,
So we do work on MLK Day. The
that was
public that
so
signs
many
up
trees.
for it,
How many trees did we do on MLK Day at Rock Springs?
We did quite a few, because we also did blueberry bushes and other.
That,
So that's also, I was gonna.
Oh, that's
say-
Rock Springs, that's right.
yeah.
Okay, so I didn't want to get too much in the weeds, but I know we're the tree council, but I would also love to see more like food forests, like we discussed in our last meeting. So if we could plant things that produce food along the Firefly Trail, that gives us one closer step to achieving some more areas like that. So I would love to see like blueberry bushes planted, or, it doesn't have to be a 3-inch caliber tree. We could plant smaller fig trees, that are hardy and don't require a lot of maintenance, they grow well in our soils. And so, something like that might be, that's not as expensive.
Yeah.
Maybe doesn't necessarily qualify for the trees for tomorrow, but would be a good addition that we could financially afford,
Right.
I don't know
Trees
if that-
tomorrow just for shade trees.
Yeah, that's what's gonna.
I don't know if it's
I don't
specified.
think we can use that.
Its intention is to be like a memorial road.
We have like anywhere.
I like that
don't
idea
know,
for
I
school.
know like some, here's some stuff about trees for more, but I guess, I don't know, I guess we had some money. Do we have like somewhere, or can I get a refresher on like what, like, I guess there was like 15,000. I mean, how much money was donated? How many trees? Like, we got a,
Pam, you've been on that longer than I have. I don't
Uh,
remember all the details.
we started with
Thanks, Jeannie.
at least 15,000, I think, but then we whittled it down from there,
We need to keep,
working on it.
yeah.
I guess I should go back and,
I like serviceberry.
I was thinking this
yeah,
was
some
very good.
repairs are going, yeah.
Kind of, and I like that idea of food, and I also like wildlife, kind of. I think of the Firefly Trail as being more of like a forested. I'm not opposed to some food on there. I love the idea of food at Park
They're-
Central
they're not-
or games.
And
If we do that for Arbor Day.
There's not near natives, but the mulberries, they drop a lot of fruit.
Well,
on
there is a
those.
native mulberry.
It's a mess.
is there a
Yeah.
native mulberry?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Red
but
mulberry is native.
that's not the one that has all the white, I think it's the one along the river, the Greenway and stuff, that have all they're usually like, lots of them are white too, so I guess
It's
it's,
probably white mulberry.
yeah, but like, yeah, so I can't really tell, I don't know the difference between the native and
We
the,
don't want stuff
But-
dropping on.
but yeah, they're very,
Yeah,
they're very fruitful though.
yeah,
You get, but I like them though, because I can actually pick them and eat them and.
yeah.
I mean, people really love mulberries, and there's also persimmons, but I just, wanted to interject with fruits, because I've been ordering from, the Madison County 4-H has a fruit plant sale every year, and the deadline, if we're on this thread, the deadline for ordering is November 11th. And it's like, we could order, if we could use some of the money for that, or just some things.
Yeah.
So interesting. There's not natives for sure, but like fig fruits, there's definitely that. There's blueberry bushes that can be ordered now and held until January and then planted out. If
That would be fantastic.
a combination, but yeah, we would have to just make that deadline, but I could send out.
Well, I think if, especially if we do the schools in February, and we have some extra money for that.
Sure. So, and you're talking about Arbor Day, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So that's an entirely separate discussion,
And
which
the only reason I'm bringing it up is because I think the intent for trees for tomorrow, I don't want to leave it too much. I think we're supposed to be planting shade trees
yes,
for the Firefly Trail.
and that is
And I
exactly
don't
what
mean
we're
to
gonna
do
do
the food.
these
But-
6 trees.
But you can have a shade tree and a fruit bearing tree,
Sure.
or not bearing tree.
Yeah, and I don't know that, I just,
It could be dual.
I understand.
I'd
I
say
think
if
trees
we
get
use-
messy along the Firefly Trail when people are riding their bikes.
Okay, that's a good, that's a.
I'm
good point.
sorry.
And personally, I feel like fruit trees, like, yeah, the fruit forest, but they're not very aesthetic looking. They usually require a lot of, lot of our, blueberries are great, but like apple trees, you know, I got apple tree in my yard and, you know, the apples, I don't herbicide, but they're ugly. And it's not, I know it's not, but we don't go for looks,
We
but
can table that. I love the idea of the 4-H supporting them, but if we want to keep it simple and, you know, that would require probably a larger conversation about
Okay.
what the.
And I don't, we have so
Department
little money,
want.
I don't think we have extra money for fruit bushes in addition to the trees that we're.
Well, I think if we're gonna do that, we need to start going after grants again.
Well, and we would use Trees for Tomorrow funds for those up to 5 trees, but then also we have money that is the
Yeah.
tree council money that we could spend. But that also begs the question, do we spend tree council money on things like blueberry bushes, which are not. We can take that.
That could be a discussion for schools if we get any matching PTO funds
Right.
or grants associated with that.
Okay, so we'll keep this simple and say, in that case, let's say up to 6 trees for MLK Day. No mention of.
And then I'll have all the definitive answers in the minutes when I send them back out. As far as, it's kind of vague on the notes he has here, but I'll give you exact tree count, where we're at, what we've spent thus far, and I'll intent on it. Which, like you said, I'm pretty sure it is for shade trees only for the fire project, but I'll just get the exact.
But
And if we visit the site and we see that there's space in that zone for more than 5 trees, we'll discuss that too and hope that at least all of us will show up.
And I've got to send an email to Todd Miller from Leisure Services to get him in the loop too, so he knows what's happening, if he'd like to say something.
Okay, and can you remind me what the easement is on either side of the trail? So how far out?
Oh,
can we plant?
It's gonna vary throughout that area because of the roadway.
Okay, so we should really focus on the non-roadway side of the trail.
Yes, stay on the roadway.
And is all the construction done there?
Up to that point, yes, all the way up to, where it forks on Spring Valley.
I think something about that area just makes me feel like it's in like a constant flux of
Yeah.
construction. So I wasn't sure, like, okay, for us to plant and then, you know, face a lot of compaction issues or damage to the
I was
trees.
to say, anything the other side of the bridge where the bypass is going, as long as they beyond, like closer towards your offices, beyond that one, we should.
what is the county gonna do? You know what the county can do with the, quarry when they guess, are they gonna close it off when they buy it or?
The only
Yes.
plans, yeah, the only plans I know is eventually it's gonna serve as a
Or,
water.
yeah, it feels like a park, but I don't think I want people down there because it's not very safe.
So I think that's a liability we need to have that.
I think it'll be like Bear Creek. I can't wait. Considering my office is right there. Holly, you'll be out tomorrow, right? We can take a walk down the Firefly Trail if you have a few minutes and
Yeah.
kind of look at it.
It'll be cold.
Okay, so so I made a motion, do I have anybody who will second my motion? Thank you, Polly.
Can we change it to up to 10, just in case?
I think that also depends on how much money we want to.
Depends on money and space, but that's vague enough that I think,
Up to.
I'm thinking 5. I mean, I don't think that it would be what we're saying if we're coming up with a motion.
well, especially if there's deadlines to get orders in, but that's more for the three things.
Do we have a deadline to spend all this money for the trees, or is just,
No, I think they made a mistake by having a money amount and specifying the number
Oh,
of
okay.
trees because they didn't factor in inflation.
Well, and it may just be that we need to raise some additional funds.
Right, well, let's go back to the tree fair. Nobody really wants to do that.
Okay, so, with the amendment of up to 10 trees, do I have a motion to accept this? And all in favor, thank you. I think that so I made the motion, I needed a second, now we can
That
go.
was in-
All in favor, any opposed?
I'll
That
need to
is
get
a
a
huge
clarification exactly. I don't know where your office is.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's-
So anyway,
It's like
When I
right
send the-
across from Nellie B, or there's like a,
Okay.
$50 on Winterville Road.
I know what that is.
Come visit anytime.
we can throw it together tomorrow.
Be limited tomorrow because I'm bringing a lab out to their office, so I don't want to spend too much.
Yeah, don't
table.
come
I don't
tomorrow.
want to devote that much time to it.
do y'all still have mulch pickup there?
We don't do it, so Topo does, and they're just around the corner. But yeah, they can.
Cool.
And I'm sure that they will supply mulch for, the MLK, that we can discuss those details later, but I'm glad we've got something solid.
Yay.
So I can submit the application to, Stacy.
Yep.
All right, so that also brings up the conversation about Arbor Day, which we also need to figure out what we're doing. And in our promotions meeting, we had talked about, two things separately, and then it just occurred to me when I was putting the agenda together that, we may be able to combine them. So Stacy reached out to me and needed a decision really quickly, not in time to like put it up to the, council, on whether or not to get, seedlings like we did last year. And last year, we ended up not really doing a whole, we gave them away at Arbor Day, but it wasn't like a thing. And so they ended up giving most of them to Mary.
They were mostly dried out. I gave some to Clark Central. And, I don't know if they were hoping to maybe sell them in their plant sale or
It was
plant them on
such a
campus.
a
A lot of them were
last
dried
minute
out.
thing, and they
Yeah.
just kind of ended up in my lap that I didn't have enough time to like
Yeah, it was,
distribute that or come up with a plan to distribute them, and unfortunately, that meant many of them, probably most of them died. So this year, she's like, hey, do you want those trees again? Now we're the time to figure out what to do with them, and I'm like, okay, it's kind of a pain to distribute them because we don't know if we'll have the Green Life Festival like we have in the past, which it makes it. really
That's where we
easy.
used to do it,
That's where
right?
we've always, but they haven't held the Green Life Festival, so we haven't really, I mean, they had the awards, but it's just for,
Yeah.
anyway.
Seems like they would have made a decision whether they were going to do the Green Life Festival already.
Yeah,
It just seems like that would have already been talked about.
the other part of that though, is it's a little bit late in the season typically, so it's, typically it's
It's
like
usually
late March,
February or something, I thought.
or maybe it was just the awards that they had later. Anyway.
Yeah, I
It's
think
just that that's not that many months away, so it seems like we would know by now.
Yeah, you're right. Let me look up on, well, I don't have their maps. Let me look up on the website.
I mean, I would hate.
Okay, so
It's stressful.
I don't know about the Green Life Festival, but one thing that we had talked about, in our meeting was having like a meet and greet with the tree council at somewhere that we don't typically go, like tree circumference. Like just open it up to the public, come and meet your ACC tree council, discuss trees. If you have, questions for an arborist, like come by and meet us. So what I was thinking was instead of our typical, Arbor Day, I mean, we can go out and plant a tree somewhere, but we could also do a meet and greet and hand out these seedlings.
Good idea, if we don't get a site together by then. Yeah.
Yeah, so just a
That's a great
thought,
idea.
and we don't have to vote on this today, but I, just
Well, it
wanna.
sounds like a good backup plan anyway.
Mhm. And pick a night where, there are usually a lot of people at happy hour there anyway that may just serendipitously, because we're trying to kind of get a younger cohort. We're doing a lot in the learning and retirement and we don't have a lot of Facebook or Instagram followers. And so we kind of want to start, and then like if Creature Comforts were to put out a shout, the tree council will be here, we may get some more people kind of just paying attention.
They have like,
What we're
don't they do like on Wednesday night, have like a farmer's market or something there? Would that be-
I wasn't sure if they stopped that one in December.
Oh,
Yeah, I guess,
Like,
I guess we're coming on to the winter, yeah. Well, I was thinking about, in the spring, if we're, I guess,
Yeah,
Arbor Day
that
in
would
the
be-
winter, yeah, I guess,
I think they have fires out under that
yeah.
pavilion area.
Or what if we had like, on like, kind of like a band or something, had like a concert?
Do you have another talent?
Do we have any musicians on the council?
I had a piano, but that's not very portable.
So I just looked and I couldn't find anything about the Green Life Festival.
I just,
It's like, it looks like the last time they actually held it was so.
So
I
good.
know, I love it, but. I
Right before
can't
everything
really,
shut down.
we can't really count on that being where we hand out these seedlings. So I think we have like 150 of them, and they're a mixture. Everybody loves dogwoods, even though they don't survive. And so it's dogwoods, and
Yeah, the dogwoods always go first.
they always go first. And a type of oak and something else.
Trees.
In February, like right before Arbor Day.
That's a great idea.
So
Have
that
an
is,
event.
yes, that is my plan is, and hopefully we can
Maybe we take donations.
take donations.
That's right.
that might be a bigger outreach, like you were saying.
I'll see if I can find our square so we can take credit cards.
But if you announce that we're gonna be giving away trees, people that and come out. But I feel like if we do it in conjunction with like meet your tree council at a fun place like Creature Comforts, and Sarah works there, so she has an in and seemed to think that they would be supportive of it, so it would reach a different audience than our typical, hey, we're gonna read the proclamation at this.
But that's what I said, it's gonna get more interaction and draw, and I like your idea of, talk to an arborist, see what's happening, and there could be another opportunity for the, education committee to put together some information to share too.
Yeah, and that would give us plenty of time to kind of redo some of the pamphlets that we have and get some promotional material.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about pamphlets and if it's an education thing or a promotions thing, and you need to update. I have some old ones with the old logo. Just need to get.
I can see that being a joint project.
I think there's a few things, based on our last meeting, it kept coming up. It would be nice maybe for two of our committees to get. Voting, education, there's just a lot of.
That could be a good agenda.
I'm sorry, you got my brain spinning now. A lot of the policy committee things you're working on, that would be a good opportunity for a citizen to ask, why can't we put a tree here? Why do we
We
have to
have
have
like
this?
we had like a question, that's one thing about policy, we need to get feedback from the public, so we can have like questionnaires that we give out with like the trees or something, so we could hopefully get people, see what people are interested in seeing or something, get some feedback.
Yeah.
And I want to know, Tori's going to reach out to all the heads to like anything you want us to put a blast out about, email me. And I think that you're doing that, educational events, but I know we've said, like, policy's doing most of our mission statement, but it's such a slow, there's never like a big success to announce because it's it's like a gentle melding, or, you know, melding,
Was like, called like an
molding of the.
NLP or something.
So
Yeah.
I'm not at all trying to sound like I'm poo-pooing the idea of like a meet and greet, but, that to me does not sound particularly exciting. But what if we, in giving the trees out, had some kind of panel? Like we brought people together, you know, maybe it's some of us speaking, maybe we have someone from the city, you know, something about like the tree ordinance, educating people about the tree ordinance. Just something that has a little more of a come out, you know, more than just
More of a
come out.
structure.
Yeah, a little bit more of a structure, maybe a little bit of knowledge imparted.
Yeah.
Like, I just, I don't think I would show up just to kind of meet someone to get a tree seedling. Like, that wouldn't be a driver for me to go and get to know the tree council. Like, I think it has to be a little something more. And it could be a panel discussion. I also thought like, it could even be like some reading poetry or so, I don't know, just some sort of something that's more of a draw.
Yeah, we could definitely, you know, and honestly, this is something that I just kind of, it just kind of came to me as I was doing it.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to like, I'm not
It's
trying to
not-
knock it down, I'm just like.
It's not flushed out at all. I think
Opportunity of your like bringing in
Yeah.
ideas.
Was donating
Yeah.
beer, that would be a great.
I mean, honestly, we could ask them, well, I guess Terrapin is really special classes. I was gonna say we could ask them to do a special class. but-
You know, they have stand-up comics, they do, I know some people that have done, so having a mic,
We can make this as big as we want it and have a panel discussion and poetry and read the proclamation and like make it like a big Arbor Day thing. It requires, you know, effort and work on our part to make that happen. So I'm not saying no, but,
Yeah.
you know, I love the idea of having a panel discussion. That's easy to put together as long as we have topics. I think deciding that that's what we want to do, then we can put the momentum into making this something that people want to attend. So the first step would be saying, okay, is this, or are there other ideas that we should explore for Arbor Day, like planting in schools? Which I don't know, you know?
Is creature comforts open to us doing something there?
That, yeah, Sarah seemed to think that they would be really into the idea. So she works there and it was her idea to hold some sort of event there to draw a different crowd than we typically, it's not, you know, like most of the time we're interacting with like retirees. That's generally who are the people that are aware of the tree council and what the work we do. So attracting a younger audience, people like a lot of what we talked about in our promotions meeting was what the purpose of the council is. And I think a lot of times we get kind of television on tree planting. And while that is necessary and good work, we raise money for it, that is not the actual purpose and mission of the tree council. The purpose and mission is to promote the tree canopy of Athens. And the way that we do that, the tree planting is a vehicle for that, to have the discussion with the public about how they can protect their urban canopy and why it's important. So we need to find opportunities to have those interactions with the public. I think this gives a different way to do that, rather than just come up to this tree planting event, which we're already accomplishing by.
same with the educational, like, walks and everything. And I think that that's a good conversation to have, like, you know, that's what we kept saying, like, what are we doing? Like, we need some common thread amongst these committees that feel like disorganized.
Yeah, like it's great that we have these events, and I love the creativity that especially the educational committee has come up with this year. It's been great. But we'd have to remember like what the goal is, and the goal is to talk to people about why protecting their urban canopy is important and the ways that they personally can invest in that and achieve the goals that we have set out for the tree council. So
That'd be good panel discussion topics.
yes, I agree. I think that'd be great. So I mean, I love the idea of having, and it doesn't have to be at Creature Comforts if they're not into the idea. I know Dustin, with all the work that Carafin does with, their sustainability initiatives, I know Justin would be completely into the idea of having it at Carafin, so I know I can make that happen. I don't want to step on Sarah's toes though, so we should probably attempt Creature Comforts first and then potentially approach the.
I like Creatures Comforts because it's downtown and people just kind of end up there, you know, from, as opposed to like, from where I remember Terrapin is, it's like, yeah, driving out
People
there.
just stop by, like grab dinner, and then stop by and see us or something, whereas.
Chance encounter stuff.
Exactly.
It'd be more, but yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think Creature Comforts would be a great venue for it.
Do they have a beer that is like inspired, you know, some tree product? Because I mean, that could, they could talk about that,
Yeah,
you know, and
they don't talk about their sustainability initiatives as much as Terrapin does, so I'm not really sure. I don't know.
I mean, if we can increase their sales that night.
Well, I mean, what would be really ideal is if they could donate a portion of their sales that night to.
Oh, that
the
would be
council.
great.
Yeah.
Well,
They have a lot of
that- we go through the, like, a lot of our fundraising initiatives are like to offset your carbon footprint, you know, so. about-
But that's, you know, again, that's a future conversation because we first have to decide that's like what we want to do, and then we can work out the details much like that. So, I will make another motion that we, for Arbor Day, host a, meet and greet slash panel discussion slash tree distribution event. So an event, at a local venue.
To promote,
Or
to promote the tree council.
Promote the tree
On
council.
Arbor Day or any specific,
Let me look at what day Arbor Day is.
That's what I was
You
trying,
think
I couldn't,
Friday?
all I could find was
Usually-
February, I couldn't get it, because I put it, I put it in 2023 and I
Maybe
could not get
have
it.
been-
There's a Georgia.
Yeah, that's what I went through, but they did not have a specific day, it just said February.
30.
Friday at 5:30.
February. So the National Arbor
Arbor
Day is
Not till April.
yeah.
Wait,
Right. No, the February is Georgia, but they're not giving a specific date, at least the site I pulled up
okay.
for the Georgia
April,
Forestry
I think
Commission.
it's like a good time for people to be outside, drink beer at the farmer's market or.
Oh, that's not a
So
bad
we
idea.
typically read the proclamation on,
Georgia, yeah.
It's always Arbor Day.
And if we did a plant.
last year it was on a Friday.
So could we do both then? Could we do, and still do like the Arbor Day thing and do like maybe like to meet the tree council at like the actual Arbor Day, or would that be getting too
217,
much to
You
do?
said
The
the
17th? How'd you find that?
just
She Googled
Google,
it.
I Googled it.
Street commission page.
This is holidaysmart.com. State Arbor Day, Georgia.
Oh, that's.
I like that idea if we can throw it together. I'm worried about if a school wants like a, remember how we were saying?
Oh, yeah, we were trying to control Arbor Day, but yeah, it was cool being far. But we could do the Firefly Trail again on Arbor Day, but is that too much?
And we might have to wait upon their schedule
Another
also,
thing that we've
That's
done.
see what they have open.
Bulk,
No.
bulk planting.
Perfect. Why are you, poo-pooing on my plans?
No, I'm saying, I'm not approving it at all, I'm just saying we can do both.
Do it on April, do it
Like-
a pretty day.
Yeah, we could plan something else for the, April date.
Oh, okay.
That would be better.
We'll have much, we'll have a
What
lot
you're
more
thinking is we have a
time.
lot of trees to give out. That's what you're
In
thinking.
fact,
I was thinking, I forget about the tree, I forgot about the
And
tree.
that needs to happen in
That needs to happen
February.
in February, because we'll have the trees then.
The whole point of this discussion is because we have these trees that we have to show. So we need to find a way to gather people. And it would be nice to read the proclamation in front of more than just the tree council and
And
have
that makes
like.
sense, I forgot about the tree aspect of it, yeah.
Well, if a planting event comes together, there's nothing stopping us from doing a planting that morning and then doing this that night.
I'm sure that, Larry's trees will probably need mulch too. I mean, there's other things we can.
The ones that brought acres meats.
You know what, that aligns with our mission too. So, you know, there's
Probably. Well, I think we pruned at Rock Springs last year. Was that an okay day last year? We went multiple springs.
So since MLK and fairly soon, it's the holidays in, maybe it's like we kind of need a lead on getting it planned. And how, are we gonna do that in our general meetings or to the education committee? We've kind of held back on Arbor Day because I remember it was mentioned in one meeting, like there wasn't necessarily one committee doing it and I wasn't sure. But we can help, like whoever.
You want to organize a panel?
I think that if we all kind of took
Education.
different roles in that, then we could make it easier to come together. So like if the education committee wanted to plan the panel and the promotions committee plans out like a huge blast of like, we're doing this and this is what it looks like and working with Creature Comforts or whatever the venue
get them
is
to
to make
watch
sure that they do it. And then the policy committee puts together kind of a community feedback.
Questionnaire
Questionnaire.
or poster.
Yeah, some way to get people involved in that. And then, you know, it could come together, I think, pretty easily rather than just saying, okay, educational committee, like you guys. do
I
this.
wasn't suggesting we take it all on, but just like, it's just seemed like, because I know there's a lot of things that we need to talk about in the general meeting. And it does seem like since it's so imminent or upcoming that we should get on it.
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah, and
So
that,
much to
again, that's why I'm like, we need to vote on this as soon as possible. So I'm hoping that maybe if we can all agree that that's a good plan for that date, then let's just go ahead and do that so that the planning can take place. And we're not getting to December 25th going, what are we doing for Arbor Day? And nobody wants to think about that then. So
Okay, yeah, we can work on.
What day does that fall on again, the Arbor Day? It's like, so
February 17th,
it's like a Thursday
it's a
or,
Friday.
so I guess that'd be good at,
Yeah.
is that good for
See
Creature
what's,
Comforts?
yeah, so it works for
And I think
that
it's
week.
far enough away that, that Creature Comforts should hopefully not have anything
Yeah, I would
crazy
check
going
with them
on.
as soon as
And then
Sarah.
figure out a way to have them get excited about it and work with their creative team to like come up with some.
They do any like special brews or anything? Do they do that for people?
I don't know.
Like Jittery Joe's.
Yeah, like Jittery Joe's or something, yeah.
Yeah.
Get Jittery Joe's to do a roast for us,
Yeah.
sell it there.
You have to pay up front for those.
So,
Yeah, you have to
we
commit
did
to a
that for
certain.
Chase Street PCO,
Yeah.
just remembering, right, yeah, we had to fork it over.
Have a lot of coffee probably.
I mean,
Coffee coming out of your ears.
you can raise money that way, but yeah, you have to pay for it up front. So we would have to vote on.
We have time.
We have time. We can talk about that next meeting. Okay, so, the motion was, to host Arbor Day as a event, with a community event for the council to take the motion.
Share information for,
Fulfill our mission or?
Yeah. To interact with the community to promote our mission
yeah,
Okay, promote the mission.
great, and hand out sheets.
and, yeah, and hand out things.
Okay.
And does anybody want to second the motion? Anybody?
Second.
All in favor? Anybody opposed?
Job.
This is great. Okay, let me go back to management.
So I'm just gonna ask, I was pretty much gonna put all of this entire conversation underneath promotions, policy and education committees.
Yeah.
Okay, just wanna make sure.
I am meeting with Maureen next Monday about getting school, to figure out what their needs are, how we can support them. I'll have a better update on that next meeting, but I just wanted to keep you guys up to date that I will be continuing that conversation, that hasn't stalled out, it's just kind of been delayed. So next Monday, we're gonna meet out at Gaines and
I know there's all these people saying they're trying to get into the meeting.
Oh, did
Oh,
you saw that,
oh,
please?
Phil, Stacy, Lee,
They can't hear us. They can see, I saw, Lee said,
The mute's not
I see the microphone
Yeah.
hearing us.
they couldn't get audio on any of them.
Good audio.
well. Do we want?
Slouch.
You've been on TV.
Not do very good in Hollywood.
I don't know what we can do about that.
Right, I'm just gonna,
So you're missing a lot of excitement.
yeah, we voted on 11.
That's it.
Be sure to read the minutes.
I can set up a summary.
So if you and Maureen are able to, come up with a plan, and I'm not sure that what I heard was universal for all the schools, or for one of the schools. Was it you that told me that?
I think it was, well, no, I think Mary was doing, but yeah, it was like, is the schools like, it was like, they take it on themselves, like, basically what they were telling us is they, like, the school, I guess the grounds, whoever, they have to approve any tree planting on their property, but I think that's kind of like done through the PTA. I think it's kind of like, or through like school themselves, they don't really like, they're not gonna make them dig up a tree or something, but like, we gotta try to get, that was kind of my takeaway from like, trying to get.
They wanted a.
We want
like a
to like
plan.
maintain the plan, like, yeah, I got an email, like, but yeah, Mary would be more familiar with it, but from the response. And you were on that email too, didn't you get copied on that, or was that?
Yeah, it's just,
Yeah. But it was like,
Yeah.
basically they wanted to have a site plan showing where we're gonna put the trees. And then showing like the distance away from everything, and then have like a maintenance plan, how we're gonna maintain it over the long term and everything. So they like, and that seemed like for any school property, but I think that's if you're just like, maybe if we were to approach it as a tree council, whereas if it's like the school PTA approaching the school itself, like, hey, we're putting these trees, I think it'd be a little different.
Would it take you very long to put something on CAD?
Yeah, it would probably, I got months of backlog right now, so it would be, it would
Yes.
be a little bit,
So that's the concern I had about. And the Chase, I don't know if that was the case with Tim, but Josh Coons was a parent, and so he put together a great plan. But I don't know if Timothy had a plan. Barrow did a
think
huge
that
tree
we have a-
planting.
A specific plan at Timothy. Did you at Winterville? Was it making a shade?
Yeah, Seth and I went out and we planned out where the trees were gonna go. The school really they wanted a few more, decoration trees than, than would go around the playground, so we gave them.
But they
So did you have like an actual landscape plan?
We used Google Maps and like laid the trees out.
Just like marked it up.
Yeah, there was a plan.
did it have to go through like the school, like the facilities or whatever, they have to approve that, or basically it was just through the local? Yeah, they have to go through
We
district?
had a really hard time getting the school to do anything with us. They were really excited about it, but they were very difficult to work with. And this, and Seth dealt with them mostly,
So it
but
must be school by school then.
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah. As I,
I can't remember what school this was in reference to.
they were happy for us to do as much work, to take care of all the details as we went.
Pull it up.
And they wanted very little input.
Mhm.
Well, I could offer, I mean, if it has to be a CAD plan, I can also put things into CAD. If it-
Okay.
I think you know, good about it. Time.
Well, see, I don't want anybody to have.
But no, it's fine. I mean, it can't be. I mean, if they have a
Google
survey.
and the Google Earth, I mean, like even, I do
Yeah.
like consultations where I just take pictures and mark them up,
Yeah,
yeah, I
depending
mean,
on what they, you know.
and, yeah, Google Map and put dots on it,
Oh, yeah. You can go up with the aerial too and inside.
along those lines, I had a request from Stacy Smith, who is who had a request from somebody at, Bernie Harris Lions, who needs help. They're getting signs from the botanical gardens. They're making like tree ID signs for them. And, she wants to make sure that they have all the trees correctly identified. So Stacy Smith asked for help from the tree council if somebody could go out there in the next, they're on a short timeline. In the next couple of weeks, you want to,
But what is it for again?
so it's for Bernie Harris Lions Middle School. They are, getting these signs made from the botanical gardens, like they have on the trails of the botanical gardens. They're getting similar ones at the school to identify all their trees. She wants to make sure that they're all identified correctly. So you would be meeting with Ally and Jan, a lecturer and academic coordinator from the Odom School. I guess she's coordinating with the school to get these made for them.
Yeah, if you wanna include me on an email.
Yeah, I'll connect you to them and we'll go from there. Cool. Okay. Patrick, do you want to, that was all we had for promotions committee, so do you want to update on policy committee and talk about your meeting with Public Works?
Definitely, yeah, the meeting went well, they were open to the idea of potentially incorporating some tree safe measures into the Public Works technical standards. They're updating technical standards, they're very receptive to everything we mentioned, whether, we're gonna, we'd like to try to continue some conversation with them, but, they're so busy with stuff. I don't know, I sent an email asking for like, if I could see a draft of the technical standards, see if any, because they said they're gonna have some stuff on trees, and I sent an email to one of the guys at Public Works, I haven't heard back from them. They're just so busy. So it was a good meeting, I think it's a good start to get dialogue going, but, like I'm learning from Mary for policy, it's a snail's pace, and you just gotta like feed people information, and hopefully eventually that.
Did you discuss in the meeting what the next steps are?
No, I mean, because we didn't really have any, next steps, because we were kind of just meeting with them, and the next steps, like, we gotta really, as a policy meeting at the group, we're still trying to figure out, like, from a policy standpoint, like, what is our first thing, our biggest thing to tackle right up front. And we've been going around, and I think we're finally narrowing it down, and I think the central business district having some kind of requirement on funding for trees and on developments in central business district to somehow get money for trees downtown and to be maintained. That's something that, because that's the only district that for development wise has no restrictions on trees. And that district is also growing as the downtown area grows. So all the trees around downtown, they're protected for developments now, but they become part of the central business thing. There's no protection. So we want to try to maybe start trying to get some conversation. And I don't know how, Mary knows all the different policy, but it just seems like, I was talking going back to policy, I was meeting with Lee the other day on something I'm working about tree ordinances, but she said that I guess this goes, but I don't know where this, but she says the most effective tree councils all have that she's seen in the area is like have their government and what do they call it, relation and ambassador, whatever. So liaison, yeah. So really need to get somebody. She said the most one she said like when they have like someone from the city the city manager. Sometimes there's one city she goes to. He's there, so they always know what the budget is when they need money to get it. So really, we need to get someone from get our mayor and commission. Get Russell Edwards is not going to be after January. We really need to get someone, and hopefully they can start helping with us because otherwise we're just this one little 50 odd children that ACC has, and they're all screaming, and
Right.
it's like so.
We talked about that in the promotions committee too, is that, my biggest frustration with the council is that we're all volunteers. We all have day jobs. We're all very busy. And all the other councils, like Georgia Tree Council, for instance, has an executive director who's very motivated. She knows how to get things done. And she basically directs that group and it says,
She's
you need to
paid.
do this, you need to do this,
Yeah.
and then she works behind the scenes to make things happen. We have a big, conference every year and, what, all the things they do. We don't have that here. We don't have a paid person who can make things happen. And maybe potentially the county forester person, I know they have a lot of responsibility, but if they're motivated about policy, then they can spend time working on that with us. But, when it's your volunteer free time, it's very challenging to motivate yourself to get that stuff done. So I think you're right in that finding that person, if that's their passion, then if we could utilize that to get some momentum with the council would be really beneficial.
Does somebody volunteer to be what Russell Edwards was for us, or do we?
He
choose?
did.
He volunteered.
Volunteer.
I mean, I think that
Wasn't there,
If
at
we-
one point, wasn't there supposed to be somebody assigned?
Dude, I think, yeah, I think per our charter, I think there's supposed to be someone,
A commissioner.
a commissioner assigned to us.
Because Kelly came once as a replacement.
And that's like, yeah, so, yeah, I think
I
that's,
think you want to find the person who is the most interested in the things that we talk about. So, I wouldn't necessarily want to be just assigned somebody at random. I'd rather approach somebody and find the right person. And I don't know who that would necessarily be, but
was,
Commissioners and what they're about, just to, refresh,
yeah,
one of them.
I don't know if that would be a policy committee assignment, but, or necessarily, but,
So there'll be new ones staying in office.
January.
January, yeah, I mean, I think Mary Songster sent an email out or something that just said that maybe we should write a letter to the mayor and the mayor's office to say, hey, we need some representation come January when our current,
Yeah.
although he's really no longer there now, but, once we'll need to just let them know, otherwise then they may not think about us or anything.
They won't, and I mean, that's part of the tree council is informing the commission.
Yes, yeah,
okay.
and I guess, yeah, and so,
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
instead of being asked and waiting to be asked,
Yeah.
getting in front of them.
We need to do
I
more.
need to do more, yeah.
So when I was on the Winterville Tree Commission, every year we have to present to the council, like what we did during the year.
Yeah, the end of the year report.
Have we done that?
We,
Yeah.
because I always.
But is it a
always do
presentation
financial.
or
It's not a presentation.
No, it's just a
I think
report.
it's a letter.
Is there a way we could do a presentation? So if they
You
make
have to
questions-
get in the agenda, and that could be some time out. And you could get involved.
It
Don't like
can
it.
afford to actually get on the agenda though,
Yeah, but-
still submit our report, but get on the agenda,
For a presentation.
yeah.
And who
Yeah.
controls, like, is it a matter of making friends with the lady who controls, I'm sorry.
No.
Person who controls.
Individual, it's doing a submittal for agenda,
Uh-huh.
it's basically an application that you would like to get on the agenda setting.
Uh-huh,
And the agenda setting is usually, like if we got on the agenda setting for December, it may not be scheduled till later in the spring.
and who would be the one that determines like the bumping, is that the actual mayor commission or so, okay,
It depends on how many agenda items they have and what they deem.
so we'd be like, probably down there number 9 or something, or,
But we could still, bring it
Ask.
up important.
yeah.
Yeah, still
Well, I
definitely.
think, yeah, I think it definitely should, because I mean, I think maybe that's good, if we started doing that as a, once a year they see from us, like, hey, we're the tree council here. just-
Yeah, we need to come up with some sort of juicy
Because-
topic.
Right.
Really like.
That kind of goes back to like,
Jason presented to the, didn't they present to the mayor and commission?
Findings.
Their findings?
Oh, yes, yeah.
So they were heard.
They know,
About
I am
this reason.
I'm kind of surprised that we have not, well, there's many other big topics happening in the world, but where we've gone with that information thus far, right?
Oh.
And
In the
it's says, it's setting, I'm sorry,
In the positive or not at all?
Yeah, just not.
still in the tray.
I mean, they've signed off on it, they've accepted the report. but the findings, what are we doing with it right now? Until we get a forester in here who can.
Right.
Well, then I think we definitely should try to get on their agenda for early next year to say, hey, we presented these findings. We haven't heard any momentum from them. We request a representation like we are promised and demand changes.
Well, that's like every other organization, part-time, the mayor and commission, they have tons of different, groups in their policy groups, I mean, their own groups, like, is there a group we could go to, a work group before, that reach out to first, like, can we talk about, I know they have like legislative review, and they have like,
yeah.
work sessions and housing study sessions and all the different things, so we just need to get some, because I don't know, that's, I guess it's a whole nother subject, but that's like, I think we need to help to, our mission statement online is really long, so like, from what I'm reading, I've taken the mission a little bit more, is we need to like foster the laws of the ordinance and versus, so I think we need to potentially look at redefining our mission statement as a tree council and being really clear and start, like Jesse was talking about earlier, just the mission statement, just knowing what it is and so we can promote it, because I don't, I thought it was more, promoting the canopy, but also I thought it was like promoting the ordinance, like, because it was kind of, that's how we were established through the ordinance, so, but maybe I'm misinterpreting the mission statement of the council, so I just,
Yeah. Tweaking the ordinance,
putting the ordinance.
not necessarily just promoting it, challenging it, whatever.
Yeah. Well, that would certainly fall within the policy committee, their purview, so that's something that we felt like was important to put time and effort into it. I would certainly support that. You also had mentioned in your policy notes, something about the champion tree list. Did you guys discuss that at all?
Wasn't that the last meeting? Were you guys, so I don't know.
Oh, okay.
So I guess we didn't, if we had a meeting, it was just a meeting of Mary, maybe.
Yeah, it came up in the last policy meeting.
Oh,
The last one, we talked about putting it on hold until,
well, that's what I had on the notes.
okay, yeah,
So
yeah, until we get a new
Yeah,
forester.
That's right, okay.
And honestly,
That
it will
makes
probably be, once they, probably
They'll
won't.
have to,
We'll need to give them at least 2 months to get settled in before we can bring it up to them. It's like maybe 6 months, so that's probably gonna be, so, man, that's low on the.
Being optimistic here, please. Okay, so moving on to education committee, horse bathing event on Saturday, we have 2 people registered, hopefully some more will come.
Yeah, so it's on the flagpole calendar, and Sean submitted something to get it on WGA, but he
I
doesn't know
haven't
if
heard
it's,
anything
I
yet.
haven't heard it, I listened to it live.
yeah, he said he's not sure if it's been aired. I'm assuming they know what day it is, so, maybe he can follow up on it. I don't know. Like, I don't know how that works, if like, if
So-
you submit something and whether it's accepted or not.
Yeah, they don't typically respond saying, they'll tell you if they need more information, but they don't typically respond and say, okay, it's live, like they put it in a book with a bunch of others, and then if there's time throughout the day, they'll read it, and typically that's going to be more in the afternoon, like during hours. So if you listen to like morning edition, there's not really a whole lot of time to read certain breaks. So
Well, then they're fundraising this week.
and they're fundraising this week, yeah. So there's no time for anything during fundraising week. So
Yeah, so I'm worried, that we have 2 registrants, and so that's why I reached out to Tina, our guide on this event, and asked her, like, hey, do you have a minimum? And do we need to, like, it's Monday, we have 2 registrants, and even if we all register, it's still, the idea isn't this event isn't for us, it's for
Can people register a day of, or is it a pre-register only?
I think it closes the day before,
Okay.
so we have an idea, and they do have to register though. I
So
think,
if we go, we have to register too.
yeah,
So maybe we need to do also another, Facebook, Instagram push of like, hey, you know, last
And
minute.
if anybody has any friends that y'all think would be interested, forward them.
Maybe people just don't know what forest bathing is.
Did that gentleman from Red and Black that I was trying to reach out the other day, ever hear from him? He was trying to apply for the Red and Black and I think I forwarded the information.
I don't get my email.
Remember anything about that?
I thought I sent it along to somebody. I think you sent that mid-hurricane, so I'm not sure if I had the brain.
The hurricane
don't
got
remember.
very rain from.
I got 20 drugs.
If it was sent to me, I apologize.
Sit down.
But,
Charleston got it.
Yeah.
so, yeah, that was sort of a big promoter of this event, and I know she's been sort of in and out of town, but, I think, yeah, some planning details on this have gotten a little, more than I'm comfortable with, kind of like set aside. And then like our regular scheduled meeting was today at 4. And so, and also, a lot of the folks in the education committee haven't been able to meet. But we haven't all been able to get together the last couple of months, so things have been put off a little bit, but, so I'm feeling a little like it's just gonna be people show up. If it's on, like, there's not gonna be a table or snacks, or it's just gonna be people show up, just because we haven't really planned anything.
And I think that's okay. Like, we don't have to, like, it doesn't have to be like a big thing. I think the goal is really to talk to people about who we are and what we do at Trees. It doesn't always have to be like a table and the big, to do, like, it can just be a conversation. And that's fine too.
And so maybe there's an intro, just introducing, Tina, but also like the tree council and our mission and, this is yet another reason why trees are so important and retaining our canopy or increasing canopy. So you can go be at peace in nature.
Mental health.
But I'm a little concerned about the low
Yeah.
registration. We certainly had higher registration for the tree ID event.
Yeah.
And it may be that people don't know what forest bathing is.
I thought your description was really great. I mean,
Yeah.
I just took exactly what you had.
Yeah, we have a description, and it's,
The Insta,
description is on flagpole calendar, it's on the newsletter for Sandy Creek. It was on the, social media posts. And I'm assuming, I sent everything to Sean, and so I'm assuming they do a little description on WGA, so I think the information's out there, it's just, is that something someone wants to do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did send that to you, Holly.
Is it on our Facebook page?
it is, it has
Oh,
on
it was about some
Instagram,
trouble registering.
No.
I'll tell you right now on
Because I've definitely
Instagram.
wanting to contact
Yeah.
CC regarding the forest bathing event and its entailment.
I think I responded to that,
It has
but I think there
seven
was a
mics.
concern about
One is
registering,
my
registering. or the
13-year-old
registration.
daughter.
One
One is my husband. One is me. One is you. One is Tori. And then there's EIC Georgia, yeah, you. And then Natasha Deeble. She's the only one not affiliated with it.
Yeah.
Does it show me views you get?
Is that look familiar to you?
Just by David.
You get the Instagram game and you like pay subscribers, we got paid subscribers yet?
No, so I never noticed.
There you go.
Who's the best?
We just had this one.
That's okay. It's,
Oh, that's.
yeah,
okay.
it's paid.
Safety page now.
No, yeah, I don't even want to pay them.
So I took it and put it on my own Facebook. And so that's good to do if y'all.
Oh, yeah,
It's like I can share it.
Put it on,
I don't know.
not that I have to. But I can.
Yeah.
I'm like, look at this cool event.
Yeah, but I mean.
Applying
I-
for position at Red One is trying to write an article for his application.
Okay, will you resend that to me?
Yeah.
I'll send you this. So the other things about education committee, just, we got 5 minutes left now.
Mhm.
I did, so all of y'all supported us reapplying for the Ollie course in the spring. So I submitted a proposal to do something similar, but more of a winter tree ID. And, yeah, it'll be kind of the same thing, just a little bit different with as far as characteristics to look at. And then, Sarah Grizzle had, like, she was lined up to do the shorts, our short for next month. But I haven't heard back from her about, in the meeting, so and there was gonna be a little bit of work. It was like showcasing school tree plantings and how that the tree council had been involved in, so she was gonna do like I sent an email, like a montage of interviews and images, so I haven't heard anything from her, so I'm a little concerned that's not.
Last week, I don't think she's ready for that at all. She did not seem to have any knowledge of how the school plantings worked. Because I was telling her about making the shade with Timothy and, it sounded
I
like.
mean, there's time, but
News to her.
that
So,
didn't seem like it was on her radar.
yeah.
Yeah, well, she'd agreed to do it for the end of the year and was gonna take all that on. And we're like, hey, we can help. She's like, no, I can take it on. And it's like, okay. Yeah, but it sounds like that's gonna be moved into probably the future. So maybe the video for our next
I would love to,
council meeting.
I would love to air that video since I put a lot of time and effort into
Yeah.
it.
Reach out to Sarah and see if y'all can swap.
But I would also really love that presentation from her.
I think I mean, if she alluded to the fact that it hasn't even begun, like, there's no way it's gonna be ready anymore.
Yeah, so why don't we just tentatively plan to show the video next meeting and then follow up with her in January?
I think, since we've tried to show that video twice already, it would be nice to try to make sure that all the tech stuff is set up before we
Yeah,
get
I have
started.
it on my computer, I put it on YouTube and I have it in my OneDrive. And I wasn't here oh no, I was here, but I couldn't share it because it wasn't on your computer, but then I uploaded it to YouTube. So yes, we are covered, it will air, there's gonna be no tech problems, it'll be fine.
On your end, so I'm not saying mine end, your end, it'll be fine. Your end will be fine, mine will.
Good.
Okay, so the
Pop up
shorts
by
will
time.
consider taken care of, and that sort of rounds out our events for the rest of the year. I mean, but we can continue to work on.
November.
Remember?
So do we have,
What is meant by
Christmas
our
card.
events?
Yeah, we got better options next year. Wait, no, we already did.
No, because you're the
Yeah, I'm the
president.
president.
Oh, you're the
So
president.
we already- So,
Well, technically, I'm off in December. I don't know.
I thought you voted to
I
keep.
think-
yeah, we talked.
Yeah, has that been communicated to, because it has to be approved by the commission?
Well, the only reason I haven't said anything to Mayor and Commission yet is because Mary still has not 100%.
Oh, I thought she did. I thought
I
she,
gave her the deadline of this meeting to let us know.
I saw her last week and she was still kind of. I just passed her.
I mean, I don't intend to leave, but I won't, I said so, so I won't really be able to vote.
You know, there's something from her that said she was gonna do another 3 years. That she got talked into her, you'll see.
That
people
also
that
did.
work the hardest usually roll off, and I get it, because they're like, why am I gonna take on the lion's share? And so I feel reinvigorated, but it's,
And I talked
We
to
lost
her that she would not have the burden, like, that she didn't have to put in as much work as she's put in.
Well, I was just gonna say too, that you said earlier, this is a volunteer position.
You put in as much effort as
Yes,
you.
and it comes in fits and spurts.
I'm a terrible president. I gave Jeannie the
You
agenda today.
You're not a terrible president.
If you gave her an.
Yes.
You took it on. I did not.
Somebody's gotta do it. All right, well, it's 5:30 and I think we've covered most of everything that I have on here anyway.
Do you want to host a party?
Oh, that's what I've heard.
The Christmas
The
party.
Christmas, I
I'll
thought,
do it again if you don't.
I talked to my wife, I don't
Yeah,
have
talk to your wife.
I don't have a big house. I mean, maybe like, if you're okay with driving a little bit, I could do it at my parents' house in Oconee County, because they have a bigger house. I could probably talk them into going out of town for the night. Well,
Too bad.
Mom and Dad,
my wife, because I don't have a very big house in my house for hosting the whole, like, we have just my family over, it just gets kind of tight with all the little kids running around. So-
Before you continue, we need to adjourn the meeting so that she can close it. So do I have a vote to, or do I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, thank you.
Sounds like it's gonna be your